What's up, y'all? Noons here. Welcome back to Noons Airborne RC. So this is part one of our 2-meter P-40 from Banana Hobby build video. We're going to be going over a few things. The first thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and show you how we join the two fuse halves together. So let's get into it. So here's some things you need: Gorilla Glue, foam tack, and some brushes to apply the glue. Next, we cut some carbon rods. We cut them at 140 centimeters on the back end and 100 centimeters for the top end. Now right here, we're applying the Gorilla Glue to our carbon rods. I already put the foam tack down on the foam. And shortly, you're going to see me put some water so we can go ahead and get it foamed up. Now we're going to go ahead and join our two fuse parts together, pushing down nice and firmly and getting it locked in, wiping off any excess glue. Here is further reinforcement. I got popsicle sticks on the inside to go ahead and reinforce the joint. Next, we're going to use the supplied glue, and we're going to sand off the area where our exhaust is going to go ahead and be installed. We're going to grab our exhaust and we're going to glue it in and make it look all nice and pretty. Next, we're going to move on to the elevator. All right, for our next part, we're going to start on the tail. So you're going to need these little tidbits out of the bag. You're going to go ahead and need this Y right here. You're going to need 2 control horns, 2 back plates. You also need 2 of the 40 millimeter linkages. And you need a total of 8 of the 1.7 by 22 millimeter screws. You also need the elevator and horizontal stab. All right, everybody, now that we got our horizontal stab, as you can see, I already sanded down the area that's going to make contact with the fuse. I also sanded the area that on the fuse itself. I also did this side right here where the rudder is going to glue in. So that's been done off camera. Next, we're going to go ahead and we're going to install our control horns. So what I like to do is I like to put a little bit of foam tack just right down here. We'll go ahead and install that, put on the back plate and install our screws, and we'll be right back. We're going to do both sides. All right, now that we got our control horns mounted, the next step you can do with your receiver, but I'm going to go ahead and do it with my servo tester. So we're going to need that Y out of the parts bag. And we're going to go ahead and hook up our elevator servos. Make sure you get the polarity correct. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and plug her into my servo tester. And I use just a NiCad battery for this purpose. And there we got the servos. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is center out the servos. And we're going to go ahead and get our control arms, and we're going to go ahead and install them. I'm going to install them in the outer holes so I can get as much deflection as I can, and we'll be right back. All right, we got our clevises in, our control horns, and our rods. We got it all leveled out. And that's what she looks like when she's all said and done, everybody. And that's centered. So for the next part, we're going to go ahead and move on to the rudder so we can go ahead and do the empennage in one fell swoop. The next part for the rudder, we're going to go ahead and need 2 more of the control horns, and you're going to need 4 30 millimeter long screws. They're the only 4 screws that are in the bag that I already have nuts for them. And let's go grab the elevator and we'll be right back. And we're back, everybody. We have our rudder assembly right here. And what we did off camera is we went ahead and removed as much of the paint off of the surfaces that we could, and we went ahead and we scored it. We're going to have one on this side, and we're going to have the other one on this side, and they get sandwiched together. Now, since we have 4 screws and the nuts do not have nylon retainers, we are going to be using blue Loctite. I have denatured alcohol right here, and we're going to go ahead and get these in here and get them nice and clean. So when it comes time to put the Loctite, we get a good bond. All right. We got our 2 horns there. And I got me some foam tack. You don't have to use the foam tack. I like to put a little bit in there along with the screws. Get it in that groove right there. It just gives that little added sense of security. For me, anyhow. Let me get some more in there. There we go. All right. Go ahead and take one. We're going to do the same thing to the other side. And we'll set that off. We'll go ahead and get our pieces. We'll dry them off. We'll get our Loctite and we'll be right back. All right, now that we got our screws and our nuts dry, we got our blue Loctite. I got a toothpick for application. What we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna go ahead and take the screw. We're gonna feed it through and come out the other end. Get our screwdriver ready. All right. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to get our bolt, get some Loctite, and get the Loctite in the hole. We're going to take a very small dab, get it right on the screw. And this is going to take a little bit of patience, y'all. I'm just letting you know that. All right. That's what you're supposed to have when you're all said and done. Now we're all done for this piece. Now let's move on to the next step. Welcome back, y'all. So the next part is we have to go ahead and mount our elevator and then mount our rudder. Now we do have to run some wires, and instead of running them from here to here, as you can see in the manual, it's easier for you to run them from here out the rear gear door and then fishing on through. Now to lower this gear door, we're going to need the gear controller, which is attached to the main subsection of the wing. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and mount the subsection of the wing so we can have the gear controller, and we'll be right back. Now that we got her together, we're going to go ahead and find our wire that says channel 5 retracts, and we're going to plug her into the middle of the gear controller, paying attention to polarity, black, red, black, red, black, red. All right. We're going to go ahead and use a servo tester for our next spot. If you have a receiver, you can go ahead and do that. And I'm going to be using my Nikon battery, and we might have to lift this up depending on how long the struts are. We just need this in the back. So let's go ahead and connect our power, turn it to one side. Okay. And there we go. And we'll go ahead and disconnect power and remove our servo tester. And let's go ahead and reposition so we can glue the stuff on the back. All right, the next part we're going to do is we're going to take our elevator. We're going to feed our leads that feed into the Y into the furthermost rear hole through our rear landing gear door. And we're going to go ahead and foam tack that down, and we'll be right back. All right, y'all. So now that we got the tail in, I'm going to go ahead and let the glue set until the morning, and we'll catch right up then. All right. Now that glue's dried on the elevator, we're going to go ahead and install our rudder. So same thing. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take our lead and we're going to fish it through. Alright, now that we got our wire through, we're going to go ahead and glue in our rudder. So the next thing we need is we're going to go ahead and knead our glue. Alright, y'all, now that we got the empennage all said and done, we went ahead and we fed our wires from the bottom back up through the fuse. If you guys can see that through the top slot right there in the back. I went ahead and I put a keeper right there just to keep the wires off of the rudder servo. I got that idea from Arthur RC. Arthur, what's up? And we got our wires sitting right here waiting for our receiver. Well, everybody, I think that's going to be a good stopping point. I knew it wasn't going to be a quick build, so we're going to go ahead and stop there. I got some parts coming in tomorrow. I got some new magnets right here to hold in the fuse and a carbon rod to further reinforce the joint. So this will be part one. We'll have part two coming up where we'll do the wings, the flaps, the rudder control surface in the back, and the odds and ends we have to do it here and attach the receiver and all that stuff. And then we'll do a part 3 video of just the power system, the cowl, and the prop. And then we'll do our mating. So if you guys like the video and you guys like the plane, it's available at Banana Hobby. Noon's out.
Get some!